Together.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's flashing, blue stripes and bright stars through the perilous land, o'er the ramparts we marched, where so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red flare, the bunkers singing air, came through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, save us as the stars flame, ever and ever. For the land and the free, and the home of the brave.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Isn't it nice having our piano player playing for us? I miss that.
He's the best.
That's right. David Hanks has our invitation.
Thank you, President Greg. Bow with me, please. Dear Lord, I just thank you for this beautiful day, and thank you for everything spring means, everything bringing up new life everywhere, and the promise that we try to strive for of making things better in our lives. Be with those that govern us locally, at state level and national level. Bless the food we consume to our nourishment, our bodies for thy service. And thank you for the service of this club, the Dothan Rotary Club. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Dutton, family of Rotary.
Thank you, President Greg. I hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Short ranks on the birthdays and anniversaries, but that doesn't mean they're not extremely important. On March 6th, we'll celebrate Doug Blankenship's birthday. March 11th, yours truly. March 11th, that's me. Anniversaries, John Brown and Carrie on March the 6th, and David Hanks and Nancy on March 10th. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you.
Introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians. Michael Britt.
All right, good afternoon, Rotarians. I have the pleasure today to introduce our guests. We are happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized. First, we have Joe Williams, guest of Dr. Linda Young. Next, we have Peggy Goodman, guest of Mike Goodman. Next, we have Melody Hills, guest of Kaylee Planton. Next, we have Kelly East, guest of Dave Mitchell. Next, we have Alex Ramos, guest of Bruce McNeil. And then we have Scooter McCain, the guest of the club. Are there any other visitors that we may have missed? If so, would you mind standing? Well, on behalf of our president, well, thank you for visiting with the Dothan Rotary Club today, and we're super excited to have you join us.
Good group of visitors. Wow. Camp Astor Drive. Colton Curry.
Got a lot of winners today.
Yeah. 394 points. The last four digits, 8292. 8292. Rick, this is you.
Look at it, Bill.
All right. If you draw the winner again, that would be amazing.
Make everybody happy. Like somebody. So, just going through.
Seven of spades, the ace of it all. All right, Mr. John Gormley has an announcement for us.
Sir, one of our fellow Rotarians made the remark that we tend to lose new members at about 24 months. And we're not doing too much in the way of member retention. We're not engaging new members the way we should and welcoming them into our club with either something to do or in some other way to be recognized as a new member. So our president came up with a plan to recognize club members within the club. So starting either next week or the week after, depending on how soon I can get it together, we're going to have 3 facts and a myth, where we'll have a member stand and I'll give 3 facts and a myth about that person, but you won't know which is which until you think it through. So it'll be kind of a fun thing to do, and it'll engage people to get to know the rest of the membership. Last week was my first week back after having been gone for a year or so, and I purposely stood out in the hall as people were leaving, and 2 or 3 of the older club members stopped and shook my hand, but no new club members did. We've got to engage them. We've got to get people thinking about who's who. And what's fun is you may think you know the people sitting at your table, but you probably don't. As an example, if I were said to have gone to a one-room schoolhouse, grades 1 through 6, 13 kids in the school, you might wonder, I wonder if that's true. It is true. It would be one of the facts about my life. If someone said that I spent 6 years behind bars in Florida, that would also be correct. I was a motorcycle cop. So we can have some fun with it. I'll contact people in here in advance and let them know that they're going to be up. It's not a roast. It's just a time to hear something different about club members and what is in the directory. So starting next week, probably have one ready. But in the meantime, if I contact you for the form, I'm just going to ask you to put down a few things that people might not know about you. It would be fun to know. So if you would bear with me and let's kick it off. Let's have some fun with it. For example, if someone said that I once rode through town on a fire truck, Larry Williams would fall out laughing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
We don't know people. Most people would think of me as a pretty down-to-earth guy, forgive the pun, what's coming. But some of the most fun I've had in the last few years was skydiving. I was high for a week. I mean, that was amazing. And I would think a lot of people in here would be perhaps surprised by it. Rick Riker, these full names, program.
Woo!
Get excited.
Yeah.
Woo!
You're the volunteer for today, Dale. Well, would you pull a name so if they have a problem, they just call you? We're pulling 11 today. So we're gonna get through the month of June. All right, we're doing April the 3rd. Michael Max. Now, if you've spoken this year, your name should be back. It should be in the cup, so you can catch me afterwards. April the 10th, Bob Caputo. April the 17th, Chris Lassiter. April the 24th, Adam Dozier. Yeah, breathe. May the 1st, Stan Sessions. May the 8th, Brandon Hurst. May the 15th, Blake Hurst. May the 22nd, Morgan Eagle. Now, if I ever mispronounce your name, just let me slide, because I know everybody in here probably has murdered right, or Rick Hall, Rickard. It's been killed 100 times. June the 5th is Stephanie Walker. June the 12th, Jason Rowe. And June the 19th, Lawrence Johnson.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you all.
I received an email a while back about something I'd like to announce. Every year, Rotary International awards fully funded fellowships for peacemakers from diverse backgrounds to study at one of our peace centers located at premier universities around the world. This year, Rotary will select 50 Peace Fellows to study in our master's degree programs and 40 fellows to earn a professional development certificate. If you were at the first meeting, which we had at First Methodist, you heard the pastor there, David Saliba, say that his wife had done this. Forget where they said, maybe they went to England, or maybe they were in England. Elizabeth Crockett Saliba. The deadline to submit applications is May 15th. You know of someone that might fit this, please see me. We'll get you hooked up. I have tickets for the Rotary Ball. There are two ways to get these. One is by contacting Mary Beth. The other is I have some. They're $100 a piece. And this is going to be a fun event. So if you need a ticket, let me know. I think that's it. Kelly Bryant is going to introduce our speaker.
All right, thank you, President Greg. First, I just want to address something real quick. Greg's gonna kill me, but I know some of the media announced that Katie Britt was coming to speak, and then retracted that by saying that there was a scheduling conflict. And there was another engagement or something like that. And so that kind of made it sound like Katie just backed out on us. But the only conflict was that Katie was never scheduled to be here. So she did not have another speaking engagement. So it's just important for me to say that. I mean, I know in politics that there's no politician or group of people that would use something like that against another politician. Just to be safe. So anyway, I would like to introduce the actual scheduled speaker who's with us today. Dana McCain is a native of Rainsville, Alabama, but has called Dothan her home for more than 26 years. A graduate of Auburn University, Dana has worked as a PR consultant and writer for many years, most recently serving as a columnist for AL.com, providing weekly commentary on politics, faith issues, and culture. She and her husband Scooter, which glad to have you, Scooter, are parents to 2 young adult children and members of First Baptist Church of Dothan. Dana also currently represents Alabama as a member of the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention. In January, she was proud to join the staff of newly elected U.S. Senator Katie Britt as state director, providing oversight to the senator's state staff and connecting her to the people of Alabama when senatorial duties require her to be in Washington. You'll notice my sister, Melanie Hill, is also sitting up here with us. Melanie's not speaking, but we wanted her to join with us because she is also on Katie's staff as the regional, did I get that? Field rep, I'm sorry. I don't know her title, but I know she works for Katie. So anyway, welcome Dana, please.
Hello, it's so good to be with you all today, and thank you so much for honoring me and honoring the senator by inviting me. As we were talking and she was introducing you to me through my bio, I was reminded of a story that connects me to you. When I graduated from Auburn, I moved to Birmingham, and I was living and working there with South Trust Bank, and I had a sorority sister who had graduated from Auburn at a similar time and had moved to Dothan. She was working with the movie gallery corporate office at that time. Both of us were single and, had a lot of free time on our hands. And so we got on the phone and we were talking, and she said, well, why don't you come to Dothan and visit me one weekend? I'd love to just spend some time with you and reconnect. And I said, sure. So it was about 4 weeks when we compared calendars before we would each have a weekend where we were free to get together. And the day before I was supposed to come down and visit her, she called me up and said, hey, you're still coming, right? And I said, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And she said, well, great. We're going to set you up on a blind date for the Rotary ball. And I thought, wow, hey, welcome to Dothan. I get to go on a blind date, and I get to do it at the Rotary ball. So my blind date to the Rotary ball was a young lawyer named Scooter McCain. So thank you, Rotary. It's worked out beautifully for a quarter of a century now. So as Kelly told you, I am state director for Senator Britt, and I'm very honored to work for a leader like her. I have known her for all of her adult life and have always admired and so respected her integrity and her vision, her work ethic, and her leadership instincts. And both Melanie and I had long-term relationships with the senator and had always sort of whispered into one another's ears, when's she gonna run? When's she gonna run? We really need for her to run. And you can imagine our delight when we finally got a yes out of her a couple of years ago, that she had been praying about it and really felt like this is what the Lord was leading her to pursue next in her life, was serving the state of Alabama and serving her country in the United States Senate. And so we were delighted and not at all surprised to see her have success in that endeavor and be elected as the successor to Senator Richard Shelby upon his retirement. When you talk about Senator Britt to her colleagues in DC or, political luminaries around the state who really understand the contours and the nuances of leadership in Congress, that characterize these first 60 days of her life there as a racehorse coming out of the chute at the Kentucky Derby. Because she is so equipped and arrived to this position with a wealth of experience as a former chief of staff to Senator Shelby that take many freshman members quite some time to acquire. But she arrived on day one, really understanding the lay of the land, understanding what she wanted to do, and better understanding the machinations of the Senate and how to get there. So we were very excited when just a few weeks in, we received her committee appointments and saw that she has been appointed to 3 key committees, the first of which is the Senate Appropriations Committee, where she is the ranking member of the subcommittee for Homeland Security. If that doesn't mean anything to you, let me tell you that it is extraordinarily rare for a freshman senator to be the ranking member or committee chairman, depending on, who's in power at the time, but extraordinarily rare for a freshman senator to achieve a level of leadership on a key committee like appropriations this early. So we are super grateful as a state to have her in that position. She was also named to the Senate Banking Committee and also to the Senate Rules Committee. So her legislative staff in Washington is now being fully built out with an eye toward those responsibilities that she has vis-a-vis those committee appointments. And we're looking forward to all that she's going to be able to accomplish on our behalf in those roles. In these first 60 days, that racehorse mentality coming out of the chute that I was talking about has taken her to the border, the southwestern border of the United States, 3 times in 60 days. On the campaign trail, she talked relentlessly about the fact that one of the key problems that she felt we needed to address as a nation was the twofold crisis at our border. And that crisis is twofold in that it is a humanitarian crisis and it is a massive national security crisis. And so she arrived in DC with resolve to attack that problem, but with both knowledge and work ethic and sort of a relentless focus. So again, 3 different trips to the border in the company of 3 different sets of Senate colleagues. And the thing that is important about those 3 separate trips is that on each trip, she has visited a different sector of the border, because it's not all one thing with one set of problems. At each sector of the border, you see the manifestation of weak policies and ineffectual implementation of policy manifesting itself in different ways. And so to know how to craft legislation and to know how to build solutions that will actually address the problem effectively, you have to study the problem and you have to have a senator who's willing to do the homework. You are lucky enough to have a senator who is willing to show up and do the homework. And so 3 trips in 60 days. By contrast, President Biden's been there for 3 hours in 2 years. So we're very proud of her and her work ethic in this regard. As she came back from those trips, she was able to join with her Senate colleagues and lead them in the introduction of 4 key pieces of legislation, a 4-bill package addressing different facets of the security problem at the border. So we're hoping to see those bills advance through the committee process and get to where they need to go to actually be signed into law. Her position, and this is where we circle back to our satisfaction with those committee appointments. Her position as the ranking member of the subcommittee for Homeland Security on appropriations places her in a pole position to really be able to shepherd potentially resources toward these solutions. So it's a whole, puzzle coming together here that allows her to craft good solutions and then get them across the finish line. Last week, Senator Britt, during a banking committee hearing, drew attention to another problem that she has highlighted and begun to speak extensively on, and that is the fact that Chinese interests are buying up American farmland at an alarming rate. She's co-sponsored Senator Tuberville's Farm Act, which is designed to protect American farmland from being purchased by foreign adversaries. she has said time and again, because it's true, and it's really common sense, that food security is national security. And we as a nation cannot be confident in our food security if we do not have control of vital U.S. farmlands. Those have to remain in the hands of American farmers and American interests so that we are able to apply those resources at crucial moments to create the food security that we need as a nation. And you know, those types of issues, guys, have implications for us as Americans, but also for the rest of the world, because America is often responsible for feeding the world. And so when we are not able to ensure food security for ourselves, we are unable to ensure it for others. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust the Chinese Communist Party enough to put those kinds of powers in their hands. Last week, the Senate, on a bipartisan basis, voted to protect America's retirement savings from the Biden administration ESG investing rule. The ESG investing rule is something that the Biden administration put in place that allowed pension managers to make their investing decisions based primarily on social policies and different things that are not necessarily primarily tied to the performance of those pension assets. Senator Britt believes, and I believe, and I think a lot of you would agree, that you want your pension fund manager managing your future and your financial security based on what those investments can do for you and how well they can grow to create, you know, security for you in your retirement. So President Biden has, of course, vowed to veto this Senate measure because he wants to keep, you know, the social policies at the forefront of how this investing goes on, because that's a way of guiding, you know, a massive influx of the economy and our dollars toward the causes that he deems appropriate and the ideology that he deems appropriate. So this is the way that Republicans in the Congress are fighting back against that. And Senator Britt is proud to fight for that, and she will keep fighting to ensure that your retirement savings plan funds your future and not President Biden's political agenda. So those are just the highlights of the first 60 days, and the senator has only begun to put her shoulder into the things that Alabama voters sent her to Washington to accomplish on her behalf. She's fighting for her children. She's fighting for my children, your children, and the future that we want to be able to give them as we grow as a nation. So I want to step back from like the DC picture now and talk to you a little bit about what we do here in the state of Alabama as a Senate staff. As state director, I'm the senior most member of her staff here in the state of Alabama. We have 7 field offices. We actually have 6 at the moment. We're in the process of opening a 7th. Her predecessor, Senator Shelby, had 5 field offices. His were in Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Mobile. Senator Britt took a look at the map, took a look at what her goals were for serving the people of the state, and said, I really think we need 2 more. And so she wanted one ideally in every congressional district, and that's what we are aiming toward. We have opened one in Dothan and have the greatest representative running the Dothan office in Melanie Hill. And then we're working on adding an Anniston office as well. In these field offices, you will find a field rep like Melanie who can do a whole host of things for you with related to interacting with federal agencies. We've all probably run into a problem before, or have a loved one who's run into a problem before in dealing with the VA or the IRS or with the State Department on a passport issue. We want to be a helpful resource to you in all of those types of interactions with federal agencies. The senator desires to create a service portal for you so that Alabama citizens get the very best from our government agency that you have and that your tax dollars should entitle you to. And so our field representatives like Melanie and all of the others around the state stand ready to take your questions and find out what's going on with you that our office might be able to help you with. Beyond that, we call that casework. Beyond the casework part of that, our field offices are also sort of an outreach engine of the senator's staff. And so, you know, Melanie, for instance, covers how many counties? 13 counties in Southeast Alabama. And so she is moving around those 13 counties all the time, visiting different economic development boards and workforce development boards, chambers of commerce, keeping her eyes and ears open to what's actually going on in the state, so that we can then funnel all of that information back up the chain to our legislative staff and to the senator, so that they can understand what Alabama thinks, what Alabama needs, and what they can provide, what the senator can provide and champion on our behalf in the United States Senate. So I encourage you to, you know, use us as a resource. Let us hear from you if you have concerns or there are things that you want to make sure that the senator is aware of. That is what we serve to do. This is a unique moment for Southeast Alabama in a couple of regards. First of all, we've never had a United States senator from this part of the state, guys. So congratulations. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. You know, every senator wants to serve the whole state, no matter which part of the state they call home. But we all know that you have a keener understanding of the place that you grew up, the people you know best, and what their particular needs are. In Southeast Alabama, you know, if you're here, you understand farming. You know, if you're here, you understand certain things that are unique to Southeast Alabama. And so we're really encouraged and really fortunate that for the first time ever, we can say a Wiregrass native is sitting in the United States Senate and advocating for us. Also a little bit odd for a state director to be based in Dothan, Alabama, rather than Montgomery or Birmingham. And here I am. Now, that means I drive a lot. I told Scooter McCain I am running our car in the dirt. He needs to be like saving change to buy tires or something. Because I'm covering a lot of miles to be all over the state and to represent her from the Shoals to the Wiregrass and from my home county of DeKalb County all the way down to Mobile Bay. But it's a joy and a privilege. But I want you all to sort of lean into the opportunity you have by having Melanie here, having me here, and knowing that your United States Senator hails from here, cares deeply about your future and your interests, and call on us. Let us hear from you, and let us serve you in any way that we can. Again, it is an honor and a privilege to serve a woman of tremendous integrity and of a relentless work ethic. And I'm just grateful to be in this position to get to do that for her for a season. And I hope to hear from each and every one of you as we move on into this first year of her term and beyond. So thank you very much.
It takes a lot of people to put on or to have a Monday Rotary. I'd like to thank the press for coming. Stephanie Walker and Colton Curitan for reading, David Hanks, Dr. Michael Three, Demetrius Bogan, Lester Stewart, Art Morris, and Terry Duffy. Let's all stand and recite the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it true? Bearing all concern. Will it build goodwill and better reach? Will it be beneficial for all?